Good morning, everybody. I am Partha Kumar Ganguly, Associate Professor, Department of Electrical Engineering, Bharatiya Institute of Engineering Technology, Sikar, and I'm here. I'm presenting on the DC machines. So long as introduction of the DC machine is concerned, the DC direct current machine or DC machine is an electromechanical rotating machine that may either generate direct current or be driven by a direct supply voltage. In other way, the DC machine may be defined as an electric machine which converts either mechanical energy into electrical energy or electrical energy into mechanical energy. When it converts mechanical energy into electrical energy, it is called as a generator. And when the electrical energy is converted into mechanical energy, it is called as a motor. In either case, it is a converter of energy and not a producer of it. The generator is usually driven by a steam engine or a steam turbine or a diesel engine or an electric motor, which are called prime movers. Thus, the generator converts the mechanical energy stored in the rotation of these prime movers into electrical energy. The motor is always supplied from electric mains so that its output is mechanical, and that is why it is also act as a prime mover for a generator. As per the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, we know that when there is a relative motion between a conductor and a magnetic field, a voltage will be induced in the conductor. This induced voltage is alternating in nature. When this voltage as a source is connected to a load, a current is generated which flows through the load. The Fleming's right-hand rule gives the relation between the direction of the induced EMF, the direction of the magnetic field, and the direction of motion of the conductor. The generation of induced EMF in this manner is the basis of generator action. However, if an alternating current is supplied to a conductor laying in a magnetic field, a force is developed on the conductor which causes it to move through the magnetic field. The Fleming's left-hand rule gives the relation between the direction of current in the conductor, the direction of magnetic field, and the direction of the force developed on the conductor. This is the basis of the motor action. In the case of DC generator or motor, the voltage developed or applied is needed to be DC in nature. Now, the question is how to generate DC voltage and how to rotate a body by supplying a DC voltage to it. So, we shall discuss all this part by part. Now, let us discuss about the principle of operation of DC machines. Let us consider that a coil PRTQ is placed in a magnetic field produced between the north and south pole of a permanent magnet as shown in the figure A. Suppose the coil is rotating in the clockwise direction as shown in the figure. In the position P or TQ shown in the figure 1A, the axis of the coil is parallel to the axis of the magnetic field. So, no voltage will be induced in the coil. As shown in the figure 3, the voltage induced in the coil in this position, which may call 0-degree position, is 0, as represented by the point O. When the coil starts rotating and when it appears at the position QTRP as shown in the figure 1B, the axis of the coil is at 90 to the magnetic field and the voltage induced will be Emax as represented by the point I in the figure A. When the coil is rotated further in the clockwise direction and comes to the position QTRP as shown in the figure 2A, the induced voltage will be 0, again as represented by the point J in the figure 3. Since the coil axis will be once more became parallel to the magnetic field axis. When the coil is still further rotated and occupied the 270-degree position, PRTQ as shown in the figure 2B, the induced voltage will rise to its negative maximum value, that is minus Emax, as represented by the point K in the figure 3. In this way, a complete rotation of the coil from 0-degree to 360-degree induces one cycle OIJKL of alternating sinusoidal voltage between the coil terminal P and Q. Now, our aim is to convert or rectify this alternating voltage to direct voltage. The terminals of the coil are connected to two slip rings as shown in the figure 4. Two ends terminal A1 and A2 of the slip rings are connected to the coil terminals P and Q of the coils respectively. To make the resulting current unidirectional through the external load resistance, we can use split rings as shown in the figure 4B in place of the slip rings as shown in the figure 4A. The split rings are made of a conducting material, the two hubs being separated from each other by insulation, and the brushes on the split rings are kept diametrically opposite instead of side by side as shown in figure 4A. The brushes will not change their position with the rotation of the two segments of the split rings. This is very clearly shown in the figure 5A and 5B. With the change in the position of the segments A and B of the split ring, from figure 5a to 5b. The brush terminals remain as they were. Hence, the direction of the current flow through the external load or resistance will remain the same. Thus, it is observed that although the voltage induced internally is a DC generated, is AC, externally it is rectified to DC using an arrangement of rotating split rings with stationary brushes placed on them. Figure C clearly illustrates how via slip rings and brushes the induced alternating voltage in the rotating coil is applied as a DC voltage to a load resistance. Now, the issues that come to our mind are, number one, though the voltage developed at the brushes and applied to the external load is unidirectional, it is not a constant voltage. It is in fact a pulsating DC voltage. Number two, when there are a large number of coils as is the practice, how will the split rings be constructed? So, the concept of commutator arises. The commutator is one of the main components of the DC machine. Figure 7 shows a typical view of a DC machine with the commutator shown in the center. The commutator is a cylindrical structure consisting of a large number of mica insulated hard drawn copper conducting segments. If a uniform magnetic field cuts through the conductors of a coil, then the sinusoidal voltage induced in the coils, as illustrated in the figure 3, is modified as shown in the figure 8 to a pulsating DC voltage by the action of the two commutator segments acting as a split rings to which the coil is connected. Like this way, if we combine the pulsating DC voltage on a large number of coils, then a constant DC voltage will be generated. This is achieved through the concept of commutator, which consists of a large number of split rings, that is segments, required on account of the large number of coils used. Although inductance is developed internally in the generator due to the large number of coils used. No inductive drop takes place in the DC generator since the frequency of the power generated is 0. But in the inner structure, that is armature core of generator, we cannot avoid eddy current losses. Eddy current losses can, however, be minimized by laminating the armature of the machine. The main components of a DC machine are illustrated in figure 7, which is a cross-section view of a typical machine. Number 1, armature and armature winding. Number 2, field system. Number 3, commutator. Number 4, brushes and brush gear. Number 5, yoke. And number 7, armature shaft with bearings. Armature is a assembly. The armature core is made up of high permeability silicon steel laminated stampings, which are insulated from each other by varnish. The laminations help to reduce eddy currents in the core. The armature core is a cylindrical structure as shown in the figure 9. Axial slots are punched in the periphery of the core. Conductors wound in the form of suitable coils are placed in the slots. This is armature winding. The shaft of the armature is surrounded by this winding. Next is coming the field system. The field system consists of the following components as shown in the figure 10, where number 1 is yoke, number 2 field pole cores and pole shoes, number 3 magnetizing coils or field winding. Yoke not only acts as a mechanical support for the machine but also acts as a portion of the magnetic circuit of the field winding by providing a return path for the magnetic flux. The pole cores are made of annealed steel sheet laminations. Coils of insulated wires are wound on the pole cores. Pole cores are generally of circular section. They are welded to the yoke after assembly of the field winding on them. Commutator. The commutator consists of a series of high conductivity hard drawn copper bars or segments. A cylindrical structure is thus formed as shown in figure 11a. On the other side, the commutator bars have dovetailed projections which fits into a dovetail notch on the insulating clamp sleeve slipped into the shaft on the armature side, which is shown in the figure B. On the opposite side of a commutator, bars are kept in place by an insulating clamp ring which also fits into the dovetail projection of the bars. The clamp shape, which having the sleeves, the clamp sleeves and rings are bolted for holding the bars together. The leads form, the coils are connected to commutator risers as shown in the figure 11b. Brushes and brush holders. The brushes are manufactured in different composition and different degree of hardness. The brushes are classified in general as carbon, carbon graphite, graphite, metal graphite, and copper. Graphite and carbon graphite brushes are used in large scale. Usually, the mica insulation between the commutator segments is undercut to a level below the commutator segments can be avoided. The brushes are held in the brush holder as shown in the figure 12, which are fixed on the brush holder studs or brackets. The brushes are kept under pressure over the commutator to maintain firm contact with the commutator segments. The pressure is provided by a spring-loaded finger. Now, the armature winding. There are two types of armature winding that are commonly used for the DC machines are lap winding and wave winding. In case of lap winding, the lap winding can be either simplex lap winding or duplex lap winding, or for that matter multiplex winding. In the simplex lap winding, the connection is made from one commutator segment to the two sides of the coil to the next commutator segment. The winding may be progressive or retrogressive. Figure 13 and 14 describe the progressive and retrogressive lap winding respectively. It constitutes A. Back pitch, B. Front pitch, and C. Commutator pitch. And back pitch is symbolized as a YB, front pitch symbolizes by YF, and commutator pitch symbolizes as YC. So long as wave winding is concerned, in the figure 15 illustrates schematically the connection of coil in wave winding. It is also called a closed winding, since in a wave winding all coils are crossing the current in the same direction and are connected together in series, giving the look like a wave pattern. And all the coils carrying the current in the same direction. The name wave winding is given to this type of winding. The back pitch YB, the front pitch YF, and the commutator pitch YC are shown in the figure 15. So when we could able to make all this combination with the help of the mechanical structure of the armature, which constitute the armature winding in the form of wave winding or lap winding, in addition to the requisite insulations, and thereafter giving the respective connection with the commutator segments. When we used to get the rotation of the armature with the help of the mechanical force externally given across it, then we are being able to get the EMF generated across the armature winding, which is being collected from the surface of the commutator with the help of the carbon brush. So that is why when all the coils together will generate voltage, then we can mathematically deduce the equation which can be termed as a voltage equation of a DC machine. We know that when a conductor rotates in a magnetic field, the voltage induced in it is given by the E is equal to VLV, where V is the flux density of the magnetic field in Weber per meter square, L the length of the conductor in meters perpendicular to the magnetic field, small v is the linear velocity of the conductor related to the magnetic field in meter per second. We know from the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction that the magnitude of the induced voltage is directly proportional to the rate of change of flux linkages. That is, magnitude E is equal to phi by T, where phi is the flux in Weber, T is the time in seconds in which phi lines are linked. Now, E is equal to VLV is equal to B into L into pi D into N. Pi D is the peripheral distance, where V is the pi dN with D as the diameter of the armature on which the conductor lies. N is the rotational speed of the armature in revolution per second, that is the RPS. Here, small v actually represents the peripheral speed at which the conductor is moving. If the number of conductors is Z, then the voltage induced on the conductors will be E is equal to Z into B into L into pi into D into N. That is Z phi N, where phi is equal to pi DLB is the flux. Let the flux per pole be phi p and the number of poles be small p. Then p phi p is equal to phi. It is total flux. Phi is equal to p into phi p. Therefore, E is equal to p phi p z n. In a DC machine, the armature winding has a certain number of parallel paths. Then the effective number of conductors for the producing voltage will be Z divided by A, where A is the number of parallel paths. Hence, in a DC machine, the voltage equation will be assumed as the form as E is equal to phi p Zn p by A volt, where phi p is the flux per pole in Weber, Z is equal to total number of armature conductors, N is equal to rotational speed in RPS, P is equal to number of poles, and A is equal to number of parallel paths. Now, if the DC machine is a generator, then the generated voltage at no load will be E. When a load is connected to the DC machine, then the terminal voltage at the load end will be V is equal to E minus I into R, where I is the load current and R is the resistance of the armature winding. But if the DC machine is a motor, then the applied voltage to DC motor is V, and then it starts running. The induced EMF will be E. At the time, the induced EMF, which is generally termed as a back EMF, will be expressed as E is equal to V minus I into R, where I is the current supplied to the motor and R is the resistance of the armature of the DC machine. That is all about the DC machine, which is functioning as a generator as well as motor.